All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little video on NFL running backs and why they're devalued and what can be done to solve this problem. And make sure you check out Pig and a Pickle, 2 locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in both locations from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., the best barbecue in all of Northern California. The running backs are being devalued around the NFL. It really came to a head in the last 24 hours as 3 great running backs all failed to reach agreement on long-term deals with their respective clubs and will be forced to play the 2023 season on the $10.1 million franchise tag. Now, I know $10.1 million seems like a lot of money, but basically these guys are being devalued around the league, and they're not getting the same long-term contracts that cornerbacks, quarterbacks, defensive ends, inside linebackers, and other positions are getting. The question has to be asked, are NFL teams colluding against the running backs, against paying running backs? Josh Jacobs is a great player. Saquon Barkley is a great player. Tony Pollard. These guys are all great players. And their teams, the Raiders, the Giants, and the Cowboys, would not have had as good a seasons as they had without those players doing incredible things. But the NFL teams don't want to invest long-term in running backs. They don't see the value. The only position group with a franchise tender value lower than running backs currently are place kickers and punters. Other than place kickers and punters, NFL running backs have the lowest long-term value. And, Josh Jacobs led the NFL this year. He had 1,653 rushing yards. He led the NFL with over 2,000 yards from scrimmage. And yet he's kind of forced to either hold out or play on the franchise tag and then become an unrestricted free agent. And then he's going around the league trying to find a deal, and odds are nobody's going to pay running backs big in free agency. The running back position has been devalued across the NFL. Teams would rather draft rookie running backs instead of investing dollars in aging running backs. And to if you don't think it's true, just look at the numbers. A running back hasn't been signed to a multi-year deal worth $10 million or more since the Browns signed Nick Chubb to that kind of a deal in 2021. The average salary of an NFL running back is $1.81 million. The average salary of an NFL place kicker is $2.26 million. On average, place kickers get paid more than running backs, and running backs put their body in harm's way, and place kickers can go 5, 6, 7 seasons and never take a hit. So, and then you look at third-string quarterbacks. Third-string quarterbacks in the NFL don't even suit up. The average salary of a third-string quarterback is just over $1 million. So, man, if you want to play football and you don't want to take a hit, be a place kicker, be a third-string quarterback, make $1 million a year, make $2 million a year. Don't be a running back where you're taking hit after hit after hit, and they're easily the most concussed players on the field, and they're making on average $1.81 million. Now, the question is why? Why have NFL running backs been devalued in today's NFL? There's a couple reasons. The rules changes are part of it. It makes it easier to pass the ball. It's much easier to pass the ball today than it was 20 or 30 years ago. You can't knock out wide receivers running in the middle of the field, which makes it easier to pass. You can't hit the quarterback like you used to be able to hit the quarterback. So what does that do? Makes it easier to pass. You can't play super physical with receivers past 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. What's the impact of that? Makes it easier to pass. The running quarterback has also been in vogue. So now you can run with your quarterback, so you don't need to run with the running back as much. Scoring is definitely tied to passing the football more and more. Teams are in sub packages 75, 80% of the time. The league's become much more of a passing league than a running league. The last team, by the way, to go to a Super Bowl with a running back that was on his second contract was the Atlanta Falcons back in 2016 with Devontae Freeman. Since then, it's all been, you're not seeing running backs on their second deal. Most teams reach the Super Bowl with either a cast-off running back from another team or a rookie running back or a running back on his original deal. The franchise tag has ultimately been misused and manipulated to put a ceiling on running back salaries. And the CBA needs to be adjusted to account for this inequity. I mean, Miles Sanders is a good example. He had a huge year with the Philadelphia Eagles. Did the Eagles sign him up to an extension and make him the primary guy? No. They let him walk away in free agency to Carolina. Teams want to invest in quarterbacks, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, cornerbacks, basically every position over running backs. Heck, Kansas City just won the Super Bowl. They had a rookie 7th-round pick at running back in Isaiah Pacheco, who they're not invested in. And when it's time to invest in him, they'll probably move on. Running backs are forced into decisions that they don't want to make. I mean, what you used to see a lot of rookies hold out because, the rookies would have a hard time getting a fair salary. Now, the only position in the NFL for the most part that holds out are running backs. Since 2007, these running backs have all held out. Alvin Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott, Melvin Gordon, Le'Veon Bell, Maurice Jones-Drew, Chris Johnson, Larry Johnson, Steven Jackson. What do they all have in common? They're all running backs. Their running backs are being forced to hold out because that's the only path they have. Now a running back's path to making money, you get drafted, your salary slotted into your rookie deal. If you're good enough, they'll franchise tag you once, and then that's it. Then they let you walk away in free agency. And you walk into a free agent market where there's not a lot of interest in paying big money to a running back. And it's amazing, too, because running is a vital part of winning football. Like, you cannot have a discussion about football and winning a game without, if you're an offensive team, what do they all say? We got to try to establish the run. Defensive team, you're talking to a defensive coordinator 2 days before the game. What's the key to winning on Sunday? We got to stop the run. So it's not like running is not a vital part of winning football. Running is an essential part of winning football. Running backs are important, but no GM wants to invest in them. And there's lots of data that are really interesting. Warren Sharp, who's a sharp guy, no pun intended, says 5 of the last 6 teams that gave a large contract extension to a running back all regretted it and moved on. Dallas gave Zeke Elliott $90 million, cut him during the deal. Christian McCaffrey was given $64 million, traded during his deal. Dalvin Cook, $63 million, cut. Todd Gurley, $58 million, cut during his deal. Le'Veon Bell, $53 million, cut during his deal. Who's next? Probably Alvin Kamara. Kamara had a $19 million cap hit for 2024, $29 million cap hit for 2025. What are the Saints going to do? They're going to cut him. They may trade him, but they're probably going to cut him. I was talking to Damon Bruce on his channel, and I made the point that running backs today, it's like a printer for a computer or a TV. You don't go long-term with a printer, and you never fix a TV. You never fix a printer. You pay the price, you use it up, you throw it away, you go buy a new one. That's where the NFL is. And if you look at the Super Bowl winning teams, they're not winning with franchise backs. They're winning with, replacement level backs or rookie backs. Let's go down the list. Chiefs just won the Super Bowl. Who was their running back? Isaiah Pacheco, 7th-round pick. 2021, the Rams won the Super Bowl. They did it with 4 low-investment running backs running the ball. 2020, Buccaneers win the Super Bowl. They were led by a free agent running back. 2019, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Damian Williams, an undrafted running back, was their number 1 back. Pats in 2018 won the Super Bowl. Who was their number 1 back? Sony Michel. The Eagles in 2017, the Pats in 2016, they both won the Super Bowl. Both times their number 1 back was LeGarrette Blount, kind of a cast-off back who was an undrafted free agent coming out of college. 2015, C.J. Anderson won the Super Bowl. He was the primary back. Do you see the trends there? It's not superstar backs. Or if they are superstar backs, they're young on their rookie deal. Is there a solution? I don't know that there is, but there has to be some new mechanism in the NFL CBA talks that compensates running backs beyond their negotiated salaries if they produce lots of yards or lots of touches for their respective offense. Their respective offenses. They can't just be like, well, you'll make it up down the road. No, they're not making it up down the road. Eventually you'll get paid. No, not eventually you'll get paid. Eventually you'll get kicked to the curb and they'll use somebody else's body for a few years. And then that guy will get kicked to the curb. They're never, it's what comes around goes around, but it never goes around for the running backs. It just always deferred, and it forces them into holdouts. Running backs are either, the primary targets of NFL defenses, and when they aren't being used as running backs, they're being asked to block defensive tackles and defensive ends, players that outweigh them by 50 to 100 pounds. That's the reality of the running back. When they're not, CBA negotiations have to be amended. They have to amend these NFL rules as it pertains to the franchise tag and as it relates to the running back. I mean, it's grossly unfair. Deebo Samuel is a wide receiver that was used as a running back. He got a new contract. And I don't know what was stated by his agent, but I guarantee you his agent wanted the 49ers to minimize his use of as a running back, especially between the tackles. Why? Because it devalues him long-term as a wide receiver. And, and you look at the NFL, the salary cap just went up $20 million per team. But the average franchise tag cost for a running back is consistently going down. So the inequity is getting worse. And running backs around the league, what's their solution? Are they going to band together and collectively all hold out? That's never going to happen. So what solution do they have? The NFL is a $20 billion industry. Pay the running backs. Running backs take 20 to 25 carries over a 17-game season. That takes a serious toll on your body. So what do you do if you're a running back? You hold out? What else? What other choice do you have? You don't have any other choices. So once again, it's a problem where, NFL teams are trying to, it's groupthink, but it's also smart, right? Why would you want to pay a running back on his second deal when in his second deal, after all the hits that he took, his body's banged up and you can get a similar type production from a rookie making far less? And that's why all these teams that sign these backs to these big deals are begging out of them halfway through. It's like buying a car with 100,000 miles on it. Yeah, odds are that car is going to break down. Why not just get rid of that car instead of when a car gets to 100,000 miles, instead of just fixing it all the time, why not just bring it down to the trash heap and go get yourself a cheap new car? That's what NFL teams are doing. So once again, what is the solution? The solution has to come in the CBA. The players' union representatives have to stand up for the running backs. They've got to have a special conversation and a special compensation plan that is reflected in running backs. Otherwise, nobody's going to want to be a running back. And you're going to have these running backs holding out. It's not a good situation. Many times the running back is the face of your franchise. Think about the NFL. There's many, many backs around the league that are the face of their franchise. So now you're going to force the face of the franchise, the Christian McCaffreys, the Derrick Henrys, the Josh Jacobs, all the best backs in the league are now going to be forced to hold out or just make a whole lot less, because what comes around goes around. That counts for everybody except for running backs. It never quite gets around for the running backs. So what is the solution? They're going to have to negotiate some kind of a mechanism in the CBA talks that compensates running backs beyond their negotiated salaries in the present if they produce lots of yards or touches for their respective offense. So, yeah, you got Isaiah Pacheco and you got him on a rookie deal and he leads you to the Super Bowl and has 1,000-yard season and he has this awesome year. It's not just the team wins and the running back wins. Young running backs cannot be utilized as a way to circumvent the cap. That's what's happening right now. Oh, we'll just circumvent the cap. We'll get a super young running back. We'll pay him nothing. We'll run him into the ground, and then when it's time to pay him, we'll just kick him to the curb and let somebody else pay him or not. So that's what has to happen. You want to pay everybody the same. I get it, but the running back position takes such an increased number of hits, and the careers are so short. And the hits the running backs take and the concussions that they endure are real. And the league's a $20 billion industry. They have enough money. They're minting money. They're literally printing dollar bills at the NFL. There is no more successful industry in America than the NFL. It's growing in billions of dollars each and every year. Now it's taking on new gambling revenue streams. It's about to, embark on this huge international expansion where you're going to see the NFL in the UK and the NFL in Germany and the NFL in Mexico City. And it's being marketed aggressively globally. And they're tapping into new revenue streams that they never even dreamt existed. It's time to take care of all of the players. And that includes the running backs. So guess what? You negotiate a contract with a defensive end, then you pay him what you're paying him. But if you have a running back signed to a deal and he's a rookie, and you happen to use that running back to death, and he winds up just incurring all kinds of carries and producing all kinds of yards, he should get bonuses in the present that reflect that usage. Nobody should be used and not compensated. The league is making too much money and is too successful to not compensate its stars. That's what's happening here. They're not compensating running backs. And I feel sorry for the running backs because it's like they're being separated from their team. It's like, hey, you know what? In football, it's the team, except the running back gets screwed. And so, and then the running back holds out, and people have the audacity and the nerve to say, they're selfish. They don't care about the team. It's all about themselves. No. Their career lifespan is far shorter, and their compensation thus should be greater for the impact that they make in the present. And so there has to be some mechanism within the game, within the new CBA conversation, within the new talks, where they not only negotiate, franchise tag, but also take into account that a young player that's utilized, beyond the norm is compensated not in the future with a promise, but in the present with real dollars that he can actually really invest and have for his family. Because guess what? If the 49ers decide they want to use Jordan Mason this year and run him into the ground, yeah, they're not paying him a whole lot. But that the carries that he takes in 2023 probably takes away from the carries that he can deliver in 2025. So why cut his money off? If he produces like a Pro Bowler as a rookie, then he should have there should be some mechanism within the game that can compensate him for that production. It's only fair. The running backs are literally screaming at what's going on right now. And guess what? They're right. They're not selfish. They're not greedy. They're just watching out for one another. The NFL, Roger Goodell, the players union, get together, sit down, amend the CBA, compensate the running backs in the present, not a future promise, real hard greenbacks that represent the extra workload that they're taking on their back. Because your body, the truth is, with the salary cap going up $20 million per team, but then the average franchise tag cost for a running back's going down because collectively nobody sees the value long term. Okay, that's fine. Teams have a right to do that, but then make an amendment so that the players that are getting used as younger players are not getting abused. Right now, it's like they're getting used and thrown away. And when it's time for them to get the bag, the teams are like, we don't want to go to a second contract. Just smart business. Smart business, or you're screwing running backs out of dollars that are rightfully theirs. I'll take the latter. All right, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krueger Show. Thanks to all you guys for being supportive of The Krug Show on YouTube.